Welcome to Hockey Night in New York, where Islanders hockey always reigns supreme. Whether you were raised at the barn in Uniondale or born in the stable at Belmont, Hockey Night in New York is your home for all things Isles. Now, let's drop the puck and get this party started.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Hockey Night in New York. Welcome to the program, everyone. It is Sunday, March 1st, 2026. Coming at you live from Floored Media in Rockville Center. That's right. We are back at home base with a big show coming up for you today, tonight, 5 p.m., early evening, late evening, whatever you want to call it. Martin Biron of MSG Network will be joining us. Can't wait to talk to him. My name is Sean Cuthbert. With me, as always, is Mr. Arthur Staple. Welcome back, sir.
It's good to be back.
How you doing?
Some famous replacements over there in Borelli's last couple of weeks, but
yeah,
nice to be here.
Yes, nice to have you back, buddy.
It's good.
Here we are, looking forward to talk some Islander hockey because they finally came back and hit the ice. But before we do, I want to thank our wonderful sponsor, Razor, Kniff, and Launstein, attorneys at law ready to fight for you. Check them out at razorandkniff.com. That is RAISERANDKENNIFF.com for a free consultation. And if you are hanging out with us in the chat and you want to get your questions in for Questions Brewing later, type in Questions Brewing, followed by your query, and we will get to it later on in the show. And with that out of the way, let's start talking about hockey. Briefly, Arthur, let's just start with the Olympics. The United States are gold medalists, men's and women's, first time ever, sweep them both. Outstanding. You have drama in both gold medal games, both overtime winners. You have Keller with the game winner, Hillary Knight with the late tying goal. Outstanding there. And then, of course, you have heroics from Connor Hellebuck. And, of course, Hughes with the big game winner in overtime.
Loved it. Loved every bit of it. I think there were some complaints probably from Canada fans about, 3-on-3 overtime. To me, that's the last game in a special tournament. You want special moments, and those moments were incredible. Megan Keller's not making that move at 5-on-5. She's got lots of open
fair,
ice.
yeah.
Fantastic play. That play should live on forever, and obviously Jack Hughes. I think Zach Werenski was the one that kind of made it happen, bullying Nathan MacKinnon off the puck. And you'd think they've got McKinnon, they've got Connor McDavid, they've got Cale Makar. You're shaking in your skates there, but the U.S. guys held a fort. Got a little lucky with Hughes with that chip out, and he was the one that finished it. And, good for him. He's struggled through a lot with the Devils this season. The team's really down in the dumps. So, he came into that tournament, I think, wanted to prove a lot. He certainly showed it. So did his brother to get them through the quarterfinals there. And Connor Hellebuck, he's not having a great year for Winnipeg, and that team is not having a great year. But it's the big moments. It's kind of like how it was for Jordan Binnington in the Four Nations. Like, these guys are NHL goalies. They're number one goalies for a reason. And he really showed it. That save on Devon Taves is probably a gold medal save right there.
Oh, yeah.
Getting the paddle on it. We love Devon Taves here, but
we did.
Too bad for him, buddy.
Sorry, pal.
Yeah, a lot of really incredible moments, and just seeing the gold medals go around the guys' necks. It's a special time. It's obviously a little different than the Miracle on Ice way back when, but it still feels great to have done it after 46 years for the U.S.
No doubt. And just to touch on you bringing up the 3-on-3 overtime, for me, I thought that complaint was silly in the sense that I thought 3-on-3 was made for Canada. I thought that was advantage Canada.
Sure.
I think the U.S. would have had a better chance 5-on-5. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would have much rather seen 5-on-5. Quite happy with how it ended.
Yeah.
But I was like, wait a second. You just rattled off the names that were out on the ice for Canada. Like, it was advantage Canada, no question about it. So, listen, they probably win 4 games before U.S. in a 7-game series, but everything went right. The demons were exercised for Hellebuck as far as being a big game goalie. He was outstanding, and U.S. just rose to the occasion.
Yeah, this is a one-game, winner-take-all, short tournament. You got to end it in a spectacular way to me. And even if, Connor McDavid had weaved through 5 guys, kind of the way Mitch Marner did for them to get past the Czechs in the quarters, you tip your hat,
Right.
You have the best on best. You want them doing special things. It was Jack Hughes in that moment in that overtime. It's Megan Keller for the women.
Yep.
We're going to remember that. The things that we remember, I think, from even the previous Olympics, we remember TJ Oshie going in the shootout over and over again, not even for a medal, but just an exciting moment. That's not really the same thing that we get in the NHL. You remember Peter Forsberg with the one-handed shootout move to help Sweden win gold way back when.
Wow, yeah. Wow.
So I feel like, it's not the NHL. It's not a 2-month playoff grind to get through 4 rounds and win game 7s and things like that. It's a short tournament. It's the best players the world has to offer. And I want to see them have special moments, and we certainly saw that.
Yes, we'll remember for a very long time. And just the iconic photo of Jack Hughes, I'm sure you saw it, with the flag draped around his back, big smile. Yes, exactly. I think that was just like, this was it right here for me. Like, that was amazing. So, tip of the hat to the men's and women's teams in the Olympics. Did us proud here in the U.S. And now it's back to Islander hockey.
Yeah, we were. I'm sure we were all a little confused rooting for Brock Nelson, who's no longer an Islander.
Right.
Again, another guy we love here.
Yes.
Rooting against Devon Taves, rooting against Bo Horvat, who I thought had a great tournament for Canada. Rooting for Vincent Trocheck and JT Miller, who normally I don't think
Mike
we
Sullivan.
like around here. And Mike Sullivan.
Dave Quinn.
And David
John
Quinn.
Tortorella.
All these guys really banded together. And I do want to shout out those coaches. They did a great job. I thought the U.S. was a really that was a tournament where I thought coaching really made a difference. The team that Bill Guerin put together made a difference.
Vindication.
Guys like Trocheck and Miller and Brock Nelson. Brock Nelson was lighting it up at the beginning of the tournament. I think got hurt. But those three guys, there's a reason you bring guys like that. And I thought the guys that they brought were a little bit better deployed than Canada or some of the other big nations. And I think in that game, even though Canada really could have won it at any time.
Sure.
We'll talk about it with Marty Biron about Matthew Schaefer, but boy, I think there's a lot of people out there saying if we had Matthew Schaefer, things might have been a little different.
Oh, hindsight, Arthur.
Too bad.
Oh, hindsight. Well, let's get back to the Islanders now. We were probably all wondering how they were going to look after this long break, 3 weeks off, little rust. I mean, rust for everybody.
Sure.
But, how are the Islanders going to come out of the gate? And didn't come out great. Down 2-0 to, of course, Noah Dobson.
Yeah.
Puts 2 in there, but Matthew Schaefer said, not so fast, buddy. I'm going to put 2 in myself, and he gets the tie game there, and obviously the game plays out a little longer there. The Islanders get to overtime. 3-on-3 Merchants, speaking of 3-on-3, undefeated, knock wood somewhere, and a huge win for them, a big 2 points because, you have... Pittsburgh is still potting points themselves. Washington won a couple of games this week also. I think they lost badly last night,
to
right?
Montreal, yeah.
Yeah, there you have it. So, obviously, every point is huge from here on out, and they get 2 against the Habs.
Yeah, it didn't look great, and it's certain, I think if there was a knock on Noah Dobson during his Islanders career, maybe a little too even-tempered, a little too even-keeled, but you could tell he was geeked up.
Yeah, he was fired up. He was fired up.
He'd get off the ice, and he wired that one. I mean, that first goal is probably a shot that Ilya Sorokin normally stops, clear sight.
Yeah,
coming in off an angle, but I don't recall Noah Dobson shooting a puck like that with that kind of speed.
Right.
Anytime in his Islanders career. So you could tell that he really wanted this one, and I think his teammates wanted it for him too. And then he gets the power play goal kind of through a screen. But yeah, it's one of those things where when the Islanders traded Noah Dobson,
right,
we didn't know what Matthew Schaefer was going to be. And I think there was a lot of hand-wringing around here, justifiably so, saying, how are we going to replace a guy who scored 70 points a couple of years ago? Well, not only do we have him, but he's going to answer you back.
That was poetic.
With a 2 spot within whatever it was, a couple of minutes, and it is incredible to watch this kid play, and not just watch him play, but recognize in the moment. 5-on-3.
Yep.
It's the Islanders' first 5-on-3
first
goal
time,
in 2 years. Eric Hornick, the great statistician from MSG Network, 2 years, and who knows how many they've had. But they've had a couple.
I've been watching Letterkenny lately. I don't know if you watched that show.
I've heard of it. I haven't gotten around.
The head coach, anytime for the local hockey team, anytime he's in a scene, he says "effing embarrassing," and that's what I think about when I think about their power play in the 5-on-3s.
Yeah, but he just took charge. It wasn't a shot that they're kind of everyone's like dusting it off and looking, and he just said, "I got a little bit of a screen here. I got a place to put it," and he put it where he wanted it. 2-1, and then the other play where he's just circling around looking for some space, and they haven't even I think a lot of people were like kind of tweeting out the records that he had tied with that 17th goal, and then he's like, nope, don't worry about it. I'm gonna have the most goals by an 18-year-old right here on my next shift. So it is incredible. We'll talk about the Columbus game and how they got even in that one.
Right.
And that's, that to me is what we're used to seeing with the Islanders when they fall behind, when they're having good seasons. They grind it out. They get some ugly ones. We got 2 Purdy ones right there from number 48, and just add it to the list of amazing things that he's done this year.
He's creeping up on Brian Leetch for that most goals by a rookie defenseman, 23. He has 18 now, and there's plenty of games left.
I mean, it's incredible. He's going to put himself into the pantheon. You're not looking at Timo Solani's 76 goals, but
right.
He's going to be top 20 in rookie goals for any position, which is incredible to think of. And let me just say, to kind of close the loop on it, Canada wishes that Matthew Schaefer was in Milan. I'm happy that he went home to Ontario, and I saw him go in the locker room, give a pep talk to a youth hockey team back in his old area, relaxed with his family. That's what we want to see on the island, because he looked ready to go here.
Yes, and safe to say he won't be left off of any more.
No,
Canadian
this is
Olympic
probably the last,
teams.
or Four Nations or World Cup, whatever we got coming.
Right,
he's going to be part of all of it. So this is a good time to enjoy the rest.
No doubt. So Anders Lee gets one late in the period, 1:14 to go, and of course JGP gets the winner in overtime.
And for those who like to point out Noah Dobson's flaws without the puck, so kind of got caught in between. I don't know that was entirely his fault. He's supposed, I think he's supposed to move up on that play with Simon Holmstrom along the wall. It's Philip Deneau who's supposed to know that JG Pageau's flying the zone there. So we can't put that one all on Noah. But the chemistry between Pageau and Simon Holmstrom, whether it's shorthanded, 3-on-3, it'll come into play again, even though Pageau wasn't involved in the play. But these guys, big spots again. They certainly need. Just having a guy like Pageau who's raised his game a lot in those moments. They don't have a ton of big scorers now to play in that 3-on-3. You've got Barzal, you've got Horvat, but really not a lot of other guys. That second line that they've had the last couple of weeks with Cal Ritchie and Heineman and Drouin, not producing a lot. You're not going to see them do a ton at 3-on-3. So it's the guys that have that connection to score goals shorthanded with open ice. And they're using it again. Big moments.
Yep. All right, let's sneak in the Columbus game real quick before we break for Martin Biron. So another 4-3 overtime win. They go down 2-0 once again. Lee and JGP score 22 seconds apart to get that game tied. Mayfield with a little pinball goal to get them up a goal there, but Columbus answers right back. Scoreless in the third period. Go to overtime, and another member of that third line ends up winning it in Simon Holmstrom.
Yeah. Great play by Tony DeAngelo, too, where he curls back, kind of gives
as the crowd was booing him.
Gives everybody a sense that, like, oh, we're just reloading here, and Holmstrom knew to kind of fire it up, gets it up to him, kind of catches Columbus a little bit wrong-footed. And Simon Holmstrom, when he pulls out plays like that, he's obviously got a great shot, doesn't always use it, but his stride and his push to the net, pulling that puck all the way around with the big long reach and the long stick, great job by him. And like I said, we always want a little more from Simon Holmstrom, but what we get is usually pretty good too.
Yeah, so great result here for the first 2 games coming back. They got another tough test tonight. We'll talk about that later. Before we break for Marty, give me your Arthur's Anthem. What do you got?
I'm going to go with the Wonder Years, a band that I've always liked and always thought should be bigger. They're kind of that emo punk, kind of striding that line, but really melodic too. I love their stuff. So this is in honor of Pageau and Anders Lee, who took the time during the break, I believe, with their families to go down to Disney World. There was a great picture circulating on Instagram with the 2 of them with their mouse ears. Old friends like lost teeth. These 2 guys have done a lot. They're not getting traded by Friday, just to let everybody know out there.
Don't think so.
We don't know what's going to happen after that going into next season, but it's great to see the 2 old guys come through in a big way. Without them, they're not getting these 4 points, these last 2.
Indeed, outstanding stuff. Add it to the playlist. Thanks for tuning in to Hockey Night in New York. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Martin Biron will be joining us.
When in need of representation, it's not always easy to know where to turn. But whether you've been accused of a crime or need to go to court, Razor, Kniff & Lonstein, attorneys at law, have you covered with over 100 years of combined experience. With offices in Manhattan, Mineola, and Suffolk, Razor, Kniff & Lonstein is an award-winning law firm specializing in criminal defense with additional expertise in business debt settlement, trust and estates, personal injury, and more. At Razor, Kniff & Lonstein, you'll have direct access to your attorney 24/7. Because more attentive service translates to better outcomes. You deserve legal representatives with national recognition and a strong track record of delivering results. And Razor, Kniff & Lonstein are ready to fight for you. Call 212-LAW-1500 or go to razorandkniff.com to schedule a free, no-risk consultation today. That's RAISERANDKENNIFF.com. Razor, Kniff & Lonstein. We win cases because we make your problems our problems. Attention all artists, storytellers, and creators of all kinds. It's time to make your content stand out above the rest. And Floored Media is the place to make your visions become a reality. Maybe you want to elevate your podcast and add some video, or turn that novel you wrote into an audiobook. Or maybe you just need the right space to produce your daily vlog. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or just starting out, Floored Media has the professional facilities, exceptional staff, and intimate atmosphere to breathe life into your creative passions at every step of the process.
Hey there, welcome back. We missed you too. Now kick up your feet and settle back in to Hockey Night in New York.
Welcome back to Hockey Night in New York. And joining us right now on the line, presented by Razor, Kniff, and Lonstein, is Mr. Martin Biron from MSG Network. Martin, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing on a hockey Sunday? That's a rare occurrence, but I gotta love it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking to Sean and Arthur here. So, Martin, obviously, you had a little stint with the Islander show here. So let's start with that. Maybe just start with that season there, sharing the nets with Dwayne Rolison, John Tavares' rookie season. Maybe you could just talk a little about that experience being on the island.
It was a weird year, I'll say that. I didn't sign for almost a month in free agency. You know, I sat home in July 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then all of a sudden later in July, I got a call from the Islanders and Gard Snow. And they had signed Dwayne Rolison in free agency that summer. And I knew Rolly really well. I had played with him in Buffalo. And, you know, it was a weird, different time. I was just coming up to the NHL and he was trying to establish himself. But anyway, so I knew Rolly and Rick DiPietro was not going to start the season healthy. He was going to be a few months before he was going to return. So I thought it was going to be a good opportunity for me to go play, you know, battle with Rolly a little bit, and then let's see what happens. And Rolly played extremely well that year. So I ended up not playing a ton. You know, by mid-season, DP came back. So Ricky he comes back, and now I'm a third goalie. I play a few games in Bridgeport. And then I finished the season well, but it was a one and done. And it was unfortunate because I really loved the team. Like the guys that we had, the Mark Streit and Richard Park and John Sim and Brendan Witt, and then the young guys, Tavares, Bailey, Oposo, Molson, Bruno Gervais, who I'm still good buddy. So it was a great team. Really enjoyed my time. It's just not a good hockey season for me. And for the Islanders, it was a rebuild. So, but I still enjoyed it. I think my brother enjoyed it maybe a little bit more when he was there because that was his first taste of the NHL. And
wow, yeah.
For me, it was like I wanted to keep going, and it kind of stalled that year a little bit.
So, Marty, you know, I covered a little bit of that year with when you were there, and obviously a goalie room with Rolly, who's a really intense guy, and Ricky, who's a unique personality. Must have been fun. But I feel like some of the crazy characters that came through there, the craziest one for me was Brendan Witt getting hit by a car in Philly the day of the game, bouncing off the hood of an SUV, and then just keeping on strolling to get his coffee. You were talking about a weird year for you personally, but there were a lot of guys that came through that room that you must have been like, this is an interesting group of characters.
I didn't even mention Doug Waite, who
that's right.
Like Dougie Waite was amazing. We had some characters. You talk about when Brendan Witt got hit with a cab in Philadelphia. We're in Philly. You know, we all got on the bus, and all of a sudden we're driving to the morning skate, and somebody says, "Hey, Witt got hit by a cab today." We're like, "What?" And then we're starting to get like the news, right, on you know, from everybody, and apparently he rolled off the hood of the cab. He kind of landed, and then the guy was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. You got to call the cops and the ambulance." And he goes, "It's okay. I'm a hockey player." It was like so funny the way he was telling the story, like he's invincible, right? So that was a great story, and a story that probably nobody had heard about. And this was unbelievable. So we lose to the San Jose Sharks on a Saturday, and this is in like October, maybe early November. And we're supposed to have the day off on Sunday, and Gard Snow comes in and he says, "Everybody here, 11:30 video session tomorrow." Well, we all had plans to go to a Jets-Bills game in the Meadowlands, big party bus, the whole thing, like, you know, early in the season. Let's let's get this team bonding experience. Well, we had an hour or so, maybe almost 2 hours video session. I think we left the Nassau Coliseum at like 1:15, got to Giant Stadium like halftime. And when we walked into the stadium, we had a football with us. We were tossing the football. They let us walk into the stadium with a football. We're throwing the football on the upper decks, like around the fans and whatever. I'm like, this is insane. Like, I was the one, I'm like, guys, they won't let us in with a football. And they let us in the old Giant Stadium with a football. I'm like, how crazy was that? And some fans got angry with us throwing the football. They took it and then they tossed it down below. Like, it almost made it to the field. It was insane.
That's a great story, Martin. So, excuse me. Let's talk about the current New York Islanders. Was it surprising for you for how they've been performing this season? Obviously, now they find themselves in a playoff spot. We're getting to the real grind of the end of the season here. They get a huge addition, obviously, in Matthew Schaefer. What do you make of this Islanders team this season?
When I look at the Islanders, I think that they figured out a way to have some pace in their game. And we all know Barzal's got some speed, but now you're looking at, the last couple of games here, the way they've been able to, show their speed, mostly 3-on-3 in overtime, and Pajot scored in Montreal. And it was a Wallstrom that scored the last game. Holmstrom that scored the last game. That's right. So anyway, I think they've figured out a way to have speed in their game. And I was very, kind of interested in seeing what Patrick Roy was going to do with this team this year. Look, it's, new GM, a new relationship. How do we build this team? What do we do? Obviously, got Schaefer on the back end. They still have their identity that they've got great goaltending. And it's always a goaltending tandem, right? It was Sorokin, Varlamov for so many years, and now it's Sorokin, Riddick, and David Riddick's got some great numbers this year, and looks like he'll start tonight against the Panthers. But so I see more speed, right? The Islanders game of late was always kind of, let's almost try to play for a tie and then win it in OT or whatnot and slow things down. Feel like they've got more speed, and maybe that's Patrick Roy just infusing that energy a little bit. And that's what I like about them this year. That's why I think they are going to make the playoffs. That division, the Metropolitan Division right now is a little bit wacky. Like Pittsburgh, I don't know how Pittsburgh, they won again today, 5-0. Yeah. I'm like, how do they keep doing this? Washington is coming up. Columbus is working their way up. But I think the Islanders are top 3 teams in the Metro. It's just trying to figure out if they can stay consistent, showing the speed that they have the last little bit here.
When you see Ilya Sorokin playing, and he has really been playing at a high level all year long. I know the kind of the regular stats, save percentage, and the win-loss record and goals against don't look great, but kind of his metrics have been top-notch all year long. When you see him playing at his best, what are you seeing as a goalie? What is he doing really well?
I see a goalie that stays in the crease, and he's not a big goalie. A lot of time the goalies, I remember like the Sean Burke and the Mike Smith and those type of guys were playing almost on the goal line because they were so massive, right? Sorokin's not huge, but he covers the net well, but he doesn't takes himself out of the play. He doesn't chase the game. And so that I like a lot. Now, he's not as athletic. He can be athletic, but he's not as athletic as maybe Vasilevsky and Shesterkin. But I think there's so much calm to his game that it gives confidence to everybody looking at him and saying, it looks easy. When Sorokin plays, it looks easy. I show a lot of clips and we do a lot of goalie stuff in the offseason. And I look at certain goaltenders and, like if I have a goalie that's a little bit more structured, I'll show him maybe more Hellebuck, right? Hellebuck is very structured, doesn't move much. If I have a goalie that's a little bit more athletic, acrobatic to a certain extent, maybe I'll go more the Shesterkin way. But then you get the mix of both. And I think Sorokin gives you that, where he does have the ability to just push off, have the split, make a big save. But everything seems to look very easy in the way that he plays. So, and it's almost unfair to him, because it's not as spectacular that people are always like, Shesterkin's better, Vasilevsky's better, Hellebuck's better, Ottinger and Swayman, and they, you name, and you're like, okay, where does Sorokin fit? And really, this year, I have Vasilevsky 1 and Sorokin 2, But I know a lot of people that have Sorokin 1 and Vasilevsky 2. It could go either way. That's how good he's been.
Yeah, either way, not bad for the Islanders, that's for sure. But Martin, you're covering the Buffalo Sabres over there in Buffalo. Started out this year where it looked like it might have been another lean year for them, and you finally get this resurgence. They rattle off a ton of wins. They're in the mix. They're even competing now for first place in the Atlantic. They're only 4 points behind the Bolts. What finally clicked for them? Why are they finally successful? And it looks like they're going to get some playoffs here.
Yeah, they got healthy, and that was the big thing. Like game 1 of the season, the Rangers are in Buffalo. Josh Norris taking a face-off in the second period. He comes up lame, like something with the midsection, and he missed 24 games. Well, when he came back in, late November, early December, is when all of a sudden this team had some depth. They've tried Tage Thompson to the wing. Well, now they were struggling at center. They moved Tage Thompson back to the middle. Tage is a center. He's so good in the middle of the ice. And really, I was surprised Team USA did not use Tage Thompson in the middle. He did well at the Olympics, especially on the power play. So good for him. But I think he's a very, very good center. Now, people will point to his defensive side of the game. I don't care. The guy can score and makes his line so good. So, but they got healthy. Zach Benson, when healthy, he's a big, big factor. Matthias Samuelsson is very, very, very good. And it's funny because the last few years, banged up, injuries, not consistent. And then all of a sudden, him and Rasmus Dahlin have been so good together. Why? Because Samuelsson's healthy. So I look at the big turnaround was health. And unfortunately, it cost Kevin Adams' job. But you look at the moves that Kevin Adams had done in the past few years. Casey Middlestat for Bo Byram. Then they re-signed Bo Byram. They trade Dylan Cousins for Josh Norris. They sign McLeod. Well, they acquire McLeod. They sign Zucker. I mean, they have made Peterka for Doan and Kesselring this summer. Like he had made so many really good moves that the team wasn't healthy. And then when they got healthy, well, the direction of the team was more like, let's move on from Kevin Adams and give the reins to Jarmo. And maybe there was an impact with the general manager, but I do feel that this team is now playing up to its potential because it's healthy again.
Marty, you mentioned Patrick Waugh, and obviously, I'm imagining that you seeing him behind the bench is a lot like some of even these younger guys who weren't even alive maybe when Patrick was dominating the league. They still have that same sort of awe that I imagine you have as a guy growing up watching him play. When you see him behind the bench, do you see, you were still playing when he had his first stint in Colorado. Do you see a change in him now? He seems to have kind of softened a little bit to adapt, I think, to the more modern player, and it seems to be working well from my perspective. I don't know what you think about it.
He still has the fire in him, and you can see it, and often it comes out in French swear words, and it's awesome for me to watch because I laugh every time. I can read those lips really good. But I played against Patrick, and actually, I grew up a Quebec Nordiques fan, right? So I hated the Canadiens, and I hated Patrick Waugh in '93 playoffs, and him and winking at the LA Kings player and all of that. Like I'm like, this guy is so arrogant, but he had that fire. That's why he won 4 Stanley Cup, and he was so good. And playing against him, it was intimidating because I wasn't even facing him literally, like he was 200 feet away from me, but it's intimidating because it's Patrick Waugh. I do feel that the difference between him coaching in Colorado and now him coaching with the Islanders, you see a much more reserved Patrick. And even when he was in Quebec with the Ramparts in Major Junior, he was very fiery. And maybe that's how he can kind of get the young kids' attention in juniors. But at the NHL level, when guys are making 8, 9, 10 million, whatever, it's a little different. And I do feel there's a little bit of a reserve side to Patrick. And this year, and why he was so good and why he was so fiery and people love playing with Patrick as a goaltender is because he had your back, right? And I feel like he had everybody's back from the start of the season, through the media, through some quotes that he said when he didn't like the hit. Who was it? Romanov that got crushed or whatever. Like he was standing there on his soapbox and backing up his team. And I think that's made a big difference.
For sure, Martin. And you have the trade deadline now coming up this week. Do you expect a busy day, and do you expect the Sabres to get involved?
It's a trick question. Do I expect a busy day? Every year we're like, it's going to be a busy day. It's
Right.
going to be awesome. And then we twirl our thumbs sometimes in the middle of the day. I'm sitting on the desk at TSN and I'm looking over to the insiders. I'm like, let's go, make something happen. And my focus is always more on goaltending. And everybody talks about, there's going to be goalies traded. And there's never goalies traded. It's hard to trade goalies at the deadline. What I think is going to happen this year, and maybe with the Sabres, it's the same thing, is I don't know that there's the priority is going to be getting rentals, guys that are going to be UFAs at the end of the year. I think there's a lot of guys on those trade bait lists that have an extra year left. So you're acquiring a player, not just for one playoff run, but next year and another playoff run if you get in the playoffs. I think that's what potentially Buffalo and other teams are looking to do. I think Buffalo's has got a rental, right? Alex Stuck is a UFA at the end of the year. If you keep him on your team, that's your rental. That's your own rental. If you're going to add, you should add to look at not just this offseason, but next year as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of those conversations that are going to happen with teams. The interesting thing for me is that, a lot of the insiders are like, there's a lot of sellers. I just don't see it. I just don't see like having enough sellers to satisfy the need of all the buyers, right? Because it's so tight everywhere. So I'm going to be surprised if it's busy. I think it's going to be a below average, trade deadline in terms of movement.
One more for me, Marty, and it's great to have you. Appreciate you coming on the show. You mentioned when your 1 year here on the island, you had, John Tavares as a 19-year-old, Kyle Poso, 20 years old. This is really the first time since that era we've got 18-year-old Matthew Schaefer doing what he's doing, which is incredible. Cal Ritchie, another young guy. This Islanders team, pretty much since you left, has been, they've been an older team. That group grew up together and had some success, but since Lou Lamoriello came in, they're a veteran team and they've been able to retain their veterans. What does it do to a team when you have when a teenager who's coming into his first year in the NHL is your best player and your star? How do you react to that around him?
I think that everybody in the locker room loves it. Like when I was in my first training camp, and I remember we were at the rink in Syosset, the old Islanders practice facility.
Coldest place on earth.
And we get on the ice, and then the crowds are there because they want to see John Tavares, the number 1 overall pick. And he picks up the puck, and he comes in on a breakaway against me, and he made me look foolish, and he went and scored, and the crowd erupted. And I'm like, this is great. Like, when you have that type of player, this is what you strive for. You want to have a stud. You want to have and it doesn't matter if it's a forward, a defenseman, or whatnot. Like, they're different. They're unique. And yes, we had some experience that year with Doug Waite and many others, Mark Streit, as I mentioned before, but you knew that it was going to be the young kids that were going to have that team before no time and that were going to be successful with that team. And that's awesome. That's awesome to know, because the old guys, after a while, you're like, ugh, this is getting hard. You need help, and you need cheap help, guys that are on their entry-level deal. And right now, the Islanders are getting like the equivalent of a $10 million defenseman playing for entry-level money, right? And they're going to have that for 3 years. Like, how great is that? And that game in Montreal, like, I felt like the Canadiens had full control of that game, up 2-0, 5-on-3. Schaefer scores. A few minutes later, after the penalties are over, cycles into the zone, scores again. Like, he woke up the team.
Yeah.
And I think if you're sitting on the bench, you're like, this is great. This is so much fun. And he's been fantastic. I love it.
Well, Martin, awesome stuff. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us, and hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday night.
I enjoy the game in just a few minutes here.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, take care. All right, folks, that was the great Martin Biron giving us a great spot here on Hockey Night in New York. That will do it for On the Line, presented by Razor, Kniff, and Lonstein, ready to fight when your good name is on the line. So we're going to take one more break. When we come back, it's time for What's on Tap.
Representation, it's not always easy to know where to turn. But whether you've been accused of a crime or need to go to court, Razor, Kniff & Lonstein, attorneys at law, have you covered with over 100 years of combined experience. With offices in Manhattan, Mineola, and Suffolk, Razor, Kniff & Lonstein is an award-winning law firm specializing in criminal defense with additional expertise in business debt settlement, trust and estates, personal injury, and more. At Razor, Kniff & Lonstein, you'll have direct access to your attorney 24/7. Because more attentive service translates to better outcomes. You deserve legal representatives with national recognition and a strong track record of delivering results. And Razor, Kniff & Lonstein are ready to fight for you. Call 212-LAW-1500 or go to razorandkniff.com to schedule a free, no-risk consultation today. That's RAISERANDKENNIFF.com. Razor, Kniff & Lonstein. We win cases because we make your problems our problems.
Hope you enjoyed the ads. Now let's get back to Hockey Night in New York.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, you are watching Hockey Night in New York, and it is time for What's on Tap, a look ahead at the Islanders' upcoming schedule. And of course, it starts with tonight, 6:30 puck drop, just under an hour away. The Florida Panthers coming to town to UBS Arena, the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, and it looks like they won't be winning a third unless they go on quite the miracle run here, Arthur. What do you make of these Panthers that are disappointing so far this season?
Well, I love my goalie data, just like Marty Biron does.
Yes, you do.
On Clearside Hockey, I've mentioned it many times, Ilya Sorokin leading the pack. I believe he's at around 25 goals saved above expectation. So he's number one.
Okay.
Down at the bottom, I guess 82, 83. You count all the goalies that have played for a few minutes this year. Number 83, if that's the right number, Sergei Bobrovsky, minus 22 goals saved, so below expectation.
Yeah.
So I think, Bobrovsky's been a horse. It was funny, Marty talking about how Sorokin's not a big guy. If you see Sergei Bobrovsky out of his uniform, you're like, this is the guy?
Right, yeah.
He looks like a stiff breeze would blow him over.
Fair.
And so what he's done the last couple of years is nothing short of incredible. Been the guy going all the way through. He's almost 40 years old. Signed to that huge contract. Obviously, it's paid off well, and he's going to be a free agent after this season. And I think just time, father time and all that usage has caught up with him. He just hasn't been sharp. They obviously had a lot of injuries. Matthew Tkachuk didn't come back until right before the Olympic break. Brad Marchand, who's having a great year for them, been in and out of the lineup. A few of their other guys have been banged up. So, it just shows how hard it is to repeat. You look at the Lightning a couple years ago, went to 3 straight finals, and like Florida did, lost that last one to Colorado and really been kind of struggling to find their footing. They've had a great season so far this year, but they're not. You get capped out. Guys want more money. Injuries, people get beat up because they're playing so much extra. You're basically playing 100 to 105 games to win every year. The recovery time gets shorter and shorter. So I just think everything's kind of caught up to Florida. And honestly, that division, Buffalo, we were just talking about the Sabres, been really good this year. Montreal, much more consistent than they were last year. Detroit's kind of added into the mix. Boston's been good this year. So I just think, all of those factors have really, and I still saying all that, I feel like, boy, if the Islanders lost this game, it really wouldn't be that big a surprise because it's still the Panthers. It's still a team that you consider to be very dangerous. So I hope the Islanders get 2 points out of this, but it's not going to be easy. Yeah,
I'm looking to see how the break has served Riddick. He's going to get the start tonight. Yeah. And the Islanders are going to be seeing the Panthers a few times between here and the end of the season. They only played the one time in December. Panthers took that one 4-1, so they'll be looking for a little revenge on this one. But on paper, somehow, at least standing-wise, the Islanders are the better team.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point about Riddick. He kind of he held the fort great in December when Sorokin was out, and then January was really tough for him. He really wasn't sharp. The team wasn't sharp in front of him. So it'd be great to see him, having had whatever it is, almost a full month off, come out really strong like he did at the beginning of the year. He's not going to get it. I think this is the first of 7 back-to-backs the Islanders still have left in this short stretch of time, whatever, 22 games left. So he's going to need to play, and you want to see him come out and be strong here tonight.
All eyes on David Riddick tonight. Moving on, late in the season here, the California swing for the Islanders. I feel like that usually happens earlier on in the year, but we get to March, and they're heading out to Anaheim, L.A., and San Jose. It starts in Anaheim on Wednesday, the 4th, 10 p.m. puck drop for those of us here on the eastern side. They were basically researched. They've been researching under Quenneville, who just got his 1,000th win.
Yeah.
They're looking real good. Obviously, they've won their last 4, 8-2-0 on their last 10. Rangers West over there. Then you add Gauthier, Carlson, Troy Terry. But another thing for them is a little weak in goals. Look at the stats there, and they got 3.00 goals against average there for Dostal, 895 saves. So maybe this is a team where they can take advantage of maybe a little weak goaltending to get a win.
Yeah, their numbers look a little bit like the Islanders, where they've won a lot of games in extra time, whether it's overtime or shootout. So if you're a betting person out there, maybe throw a little bit on this one going past regulation.
There you go.
They both played a lot, both won a lot. It's been, Chris Kreider, I think, has been kind of a key add. Just got his 20th goal. They won their last game in overtime, I believe. And Cutter Gauthier, really, a guy who kind of forced his way out of Philly, ended up in Anaheim. He's got the goods. He's a really good young player. They've got a couple others. Beckett Seneke has been really good. Olin Zellweger's pretty good on defense. They've got, they're an interesting mix because, like you said, Jacob Trouba, Kreider, Ryan Strome, Frank Vetrano, a lot of ex-Rangers, but also that mix of a lot of really young guys. And so you see the value of adding former captain in Trouba, a guy who was, in Kreider, who, tormented the Islanders for years and was a quality player in the big city there for a long, long time. So interesting mix. And obviously Joel Quenneville's a hell of a coach. So that's a tough one to start out with. You'd kind of like to see them be at the tail end because the other two, LA and San Jose, are still struggling to make the playoffs here. So it's an interesting mix in that Pacific Division. You don't really see anybody kind of running away with it. Right. Like Marty mentioned, Vegas got smoked this afternoon in Pittsburgh. So, I think the Islanders match up well with all three teams. It is tough to sweep them, but be interested to, see how they start off with Anaheim.
And how do you feel about their new uniforms? I love them.
Oh, the Wild Wing, yeah, it's a good look for them.
The full orange kits at home.
Full orange, it is kind of a different shade of the Islanders, but it does sort of give you that little hint of what could have been the era that the Islanders wore those like black.
Still waiting for it, man.
The black with the orange, which looked terrible,
awful. The worst jerseys in history, as far as I'm concerned.
I could think of a few others
worse than that black monstrosity, not the Brooklyn black.
No,
the word mark black.
Believe me, I remember. And then some other colors mixed in there.
Yeah, it looked like purple, gray,
hard to know.
Whatever it was.
I think those first Phoenix Coyotes jerseys back in the 90s were pretty terrible.
Oh, I meant from an Islanders standpoint.
Yeah, safely, yes.
Okay, all right, good. I'm glad we're on the same page with that. All right, moving on to Thursday, second of back-to-backs here. The Islanders go into L.A. for a 9:30 p.m. tilt. On the outside of a playoff spot, just fired former Islanders assistant coach Jim Hiller, their head coach. DJ Smith comes in as the new head coach or interim head coach?
Interim.
Yeah, okay, so he comes in there. So we'll see if they get that, new head coach jolt the teams seem to get, right? But a beatable team here in L.A.
Yeah, pretty wild that they get Artemi Panarin right before the Olympic break. Kevin Fiala goes out with a season-ending injury at the Olympics, kind of the reminiscent of the John Tavares 2014 situation with Canada and the Islanders. I didn't see Kenny Holland pull a Garth Snow and go to the media and say, where's our refunds for our season ticket holders now that Fiala's out. I think Andrei Kuzmenko is now injured too, so they're down pretty bad. That'll be, right before the deadline, so we'll see if they add anybody else. I don't really know why they would. I know that like I mentioned, the Pacific Division, they're out of a playoff spot. They're still only about 6 or 7 points out of second, so it is doable with the short amount of time they have left. But that team's been kind of a mystery to me. They should be better, even with some of the guys that they've been missing. They still seemingly have good goaltending. But yeah, I think, some of their core guys that have won a lot, Anze Kopitar, he's retiring at the end of the year. Drew Doughty, who somehow managed to get on Team Canada over Matthew Schaefer, also slowing down quite a bit. So they're kind of it's an odd mix out there. So I'm interested to see how they look when the Islanders do actually get there.
Well, maybe the Islanders can help make them sellers.
There you go. I don't know if there's enough time left with that game, but Certainly could be.
We shall see. And then to round out the California trip, Saturday, the Islanders go to San Jose. Also outside of the playoffs, I think they're 2 points behind LA, right there in the thick of things there. And look, Celebrini's a monster. He's got 82 points in 57 games. Unbelievable. Michael Misa has 4 points in his last 5 games played. Some Islander fans wanted him picked over Schaefer back in June. And once again, looked at the goaltending, and Askarov not looking great. The numbers aren't looking great. So maybe, if you can get in the offensive zone, put some pressure out there, score some goals.
Very young defense they have there. So they're still, you watch some of their highlights against Edmonton the other night, generate a ton of chances. Celebrini's he's such a stud. It's incredible. It is reminiscent of some of those early Tavares years here where you'd see him with 80 points and the next guy has about 50.
Right.
Where it's just every bit of offense runs through this kid. And he's, just what he did in the Olympics. Incredible. Obviously, not everybody gets to play with Connor McDavid, but not everybody succeeds next to Connor McDavid either, especially when you throw him in like that. So at 19, what he's doing, outrageous. And if they make the playoffs, he'd have my vote for MVP for sure, because he's a one-man band out there. That one coming right after the deadline, if the Islanders, and I'm sure we'll get lots of questions in the chat later on about the deadline.
Right.
If there's a big move to make between now and Friday, you wonder, obviously being in California might be tough to get somebody in there. But if it's a Jordan Kyrou or whoever, that'll be the first game after the deadline and maybe after whatever big move the Islanders make. So could be a lot of excitement, could be a little bit of disjointedness if they're trying to put somebody big in their top 6. So that kind of factors into the matchup that we don't really know yet. If they don't do anything and they're kind of standing pat with what they've got or make a small move, then, we kind of will know, and everybody in the room will breathe a sigh of relief, and everybody that watches the games will say, okay, this is the team. They've had some success. So that first game after the deadline is always a little bit funky, especially if you're a team that's looking to buy.
Right, for sure. And I think the nice thing about this little California trip is that it's not, as daunting it maybe as it was in years past. I think these are 3 winnable games. You hate the back-to-backs, but I think, they can come out with 5-6 points if they continue to play as well or as clutch, I suppose, as they have.
Yeah, and I feel like a win tonight takes a little bit of the heat off that too. If they had come out of the break here and gone 0-2-1 or something like that, or these 2 games they were down 2 goals, they didn't come back, and then you lose this one tonight, and then you have a day off, and then you travel, get acclimated to the time zone. You're putting a lot of pressure on yourself for a trip that's difficult to win with 3 and 4 out of the time, all the way across in the Pacific time zone. So a win tonight, you were able to breathe a sigh of relief. Not a huge one because everybody's still fighting for that, to get in that race or get into that last playoff spot. But, but at least you give yourself a little bit of breathing room in case there's a couple of hiccups along the way.
No doubt. And just speaking of that breathing room, the Islanders have finally caught up points-wise on the wild card end of things. So they have a little bit of a backup if things don't work out in the top 3. They obviously created some distance between them and Columbus, 7 points now. But you still have Washington nipping at their heels of 4 points back, but they have the 2 more games played. So I'd say the Islanders are definitely a little bit more of a comfortable position than they were before the break, before the end of the break here. And now they just got to keep things rolling.
Yeah, I don't know how well they do in that comfortable spot. It's a team
fair.
that thrives.
You're absolutely right.
Discomfort. So I would be okay with them just staying in these tense moments. It's not going to be great for fingernails and hearts out there. But, but you got to get used to it. This is just the way these Islanders are built. They're not built to dominate. They're built to just get by and pile up the points, and that's what they've been doing. So keep that going and not worry about looking below. Keep trying to push up and see how high you can get.
Very well said, and that will do it for What's on Tap. Now let's take it to Hero of the Week. That's right, folks. It's time to talk about heroes once again. And Arthur, if you would do us so kind here, please, would you start? Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Geez, I'm trying to.
Do you remember?
I think I do. I think I picked.
Do you need a hint?
Did I pick Anders Lee?
Yes.
It really was a 50-50 shot there, but yeah, scoring ugly goals. That's what Anders Lee does. You think back to that first goal he scored as an Islander when he came out of college. Just kind of a muffin he threw from the wall against Winnipeg.
Yes, I remember that.
Over, I can't remember. Was it Andre Pavlik, maybe?
Probably.
And went in, and you're like, wow, this kid really does have a nose for the net because he's scored goals at every level he'd been at, and he just keeps on doing it. I know he's had a little bit of a lull the last couple of months, but tying goal in Montreal goes off his chest. Last night, big one where he goes Bill Walton up for the sky hook, grabs it, puts it down, and tucks it past Jet Greaves. Gets the comeback started. It's a guy who knows what he's doing in front of the net, knows how to score goals, knows where to be. I know there's been frustration. I know he's 35 years old,
Right.
but he's still a great captain, and he's still a clutch goal scorer. And I think even without those goals, he would not have been traded by Friday, no matter what was going on. This is not a situation where you just try to get a second round pick for a guy like that who also just passed the 900 game mark the other night. I don't know if he's going to get to 1,000 in an Islanders uniform. It would be great if he does. But
Right.
I think at least for now, he's here. He's still producing. He deserves hero this week.
Great stuff, Arthur. And speaking of guys that aren't going to get traded,
That was my other choice.
By the deadline here, JG Pajot, that's my guy. This is a guy, and I want to credit his appearance on Hockey Night in New York last week.
He's your buddy now, too.
Right. I mean, you look at the way him and Holmstrom have been playing. I mean, we asked him a question about how they've been playing together. So, I mean, it kind of all ties in here.
Take responsibility for this.
I'm going to take at least like 17%.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But what a goal to close the game out there against Montreal. And he gets a goal and assist versus Columbus as well. And what a beauty he was at Borelli's for the gold medal game. Great interview with him. We had a lot of fun with him. He hung out for a bit and watched the game, and just a lot of fun. But that line, Lee, Pajot, Holmstrom, they're really carrying this team on their back a little bit right now. Yeah. And aside from Schaefer and Sorokin, but I mean, they've been great. So I think those are two great choices in Lee and Pajot.
Yeah, Patrick Waugh, and I don't know what he's going to do tonight. We didn't really look at social media to see if they changed up. They're going to change up any of the lines. Maybe we'll see when they're out in warm-ups. But the top six has really been struggling out of the gate, I think, these last two games. Schaefer obviously came through in a big way. But that third line, the fourth line has been very consistent doing what they do. You're not expecting them to score a lot of goals. They do create some stuff. So when the top six is going dry, you need something, and Patrick Waugh has gone back to this line time and again. Obviously, the chemistry between Pajot and Holmstrom is really good, and Anders fits really well with them. So they're not going to produce every shift. They produce kind of when they need to, and obviously having Lee out there in the 6-on-5 was big, but consistency is what you get from them. That's super important.
No doubt. So that will do it, folks, for Hero of the Week. Anders Lee and JG Pajot. We'll see if they have any heroics tonight. And now we're going to take it back to the Snake Den.
Welcome to the Snake Den with Jake the Snake Redonis.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to go to the Snake Den with Mr. Jake, Hatless Jake the Snake Redonis. Buddy, how we doing, pal? Yeah, looking great, buddy. Fresh face tonight. So what do you got for us?
Yeah, well, I wanted to briefly touch on the Olympics. I know you guys did to start the show, but Team USA, double gold.
Hey.
Very, very cool.
Sweep.
So awesome watching that, too. Just anytime we get to watch international hockey, it's a real treat, and especially when the U.S. comes out on top for both men's and women's, and both in awesome fashions, too.
Yes.
So with the women's first, Hillary Knight scoring a big goal to tie it up late, the captain. Anders Lee with that clutchness, right?
Yeah.
Just on a little bit bigger of a stage, I'd say.
She might have the clutch gene a little bit more
Just
than him,
a little
given
bit more.
what she's done at the Olympics and
That's
at that
fair to
level.
say.
But
Yeah,
it's
that's fair to
close.
say.
It's
I would
close.
say so, especially that actually broke the record, too, for most goals for the U.S. in the Olympics. So
nice.
props to her there. There was a huge goal in a game that they were favored and they were down and they scored late.
Yeah.
So,
Looking dicey.
Yeah, definitely kind of Islanders-esque with the stress factor there.
Indeed.
But then an absolute beauty of a goal in OT by Keller. That move was ridiculous. There's going to be people trying to mock that for years to come.
For sure.
So that was awesome. Then you get the men's game, which is another one where it's just Hellebuck is getting shots on net like crazy. It was just like a war on him out there. And, he held it down. That save on Taves before that you guys talked about was ridiculous with the paddle. There was that a Varlamov save a couple years back where he stuck the paddle out? Was it Sorokin?
Sorokin had one of those against the Rangers. It was Panarin, I think it was, right?
Yeah, so that gave some remnants of that there. But so cool seeing both them win. Jack Hughes comes up. We talked about Jack Hughes, and I know you did last week as well on the show.
Right.
Just being so good in this tournament, and especially his brother Quinn too. So just great to see them thrive, both win gold medals. That's awesome. I think this is huge for kids in America too, who are growing up right now playing hockey. Maybe they're interested in hockey. Probably exposed a lot of new kids to that too. So hopefully we see a big surge in that too. Probably like how there was back in the 80s. I wasn't around for it during the Miracle Team, but so exciting times in U.S. hockey. Now I can't even wait for the next one, 28, the World Cup, and then and then 30 the Olympics.
Yeah, and if I was going to give an honorable mention to an Olympian for Hero of the Week, it had to be Hellebuck. I mean, he was just unbelievable in that game. I mean, and they killed the 5-on-3, and it's just like, my God, like they have a shot. With the way he was playing, and when they killed the 5-on-3, I said it on the Rangers Ed podcast the other night, but when they killed that off and when he made that miraculous save, it's like it almost felt like it was meant to be,
Yeah, no, it definitely did. You felt the momentum kind of sway a little bit there. So awesome stuff there. Also, you see with the Canadiens, see a little bit of fire out of them right now. I don't know if you guys have noticed with Horvat. I feel like the last 2 games he's playing with a little more feistiness.
Okay. Little chip on his shoulder.
Mixing it up a little bit. So, it's good to see that he really wants to win. It sucks that he lost, but it's good at the Americans' expense.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. But you know what? I think that put a chip on his shoulder that he really wants to go out there and win something big. So, and you're seeing that too with like McDavid going crazy over in Edmonton when he gets back. But and then who knows, next Olympics, next international play, we're probably going to be seeing Schaefer on the other side there. So good they got that out of the way.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, just to touch on the note that you made, Arthur, do you think this will be a big bump for youth hockey in America after getting these gold medals?
I hope so. I feel like the bump is already there. You see some of these guys, and it, it's passing the torch from the Patrick Kane down to Matt Boldy. I give major props to Matt Boldy for that play he made in the gold medal game. He's a guy that we don't get to see a whole lot playing in mini. He's another stud, and you just see the level that college hockey has gotten to, and to see some guys like Patrick Kane who ended up going to the OHL because maybe college hockey back when he was coming up wasn't as good. Now with the NIL situation, there's Canadian players coming to fill the American college rosters. So I think the competitiveness of hockey in the U.S. has gone up, and now I feel like seeing what transpired with a lot of choices that were left off. You're talking about a chip on their shoulder. Jason Robertson and Cole Caulfield. They're not being left off any more rosters for sure.
No.
So you see this wave of young guys that are hitting their prime. It's going to be great to watch, and I feel like the goaltending, there's still a big gap between the U.S. and Canada. We had Marty Biron on, and we're talking about Patrick Waugh and Martin Brodeur, that French-Canadian goalie pipeline that they had for decades
Roberto
in
Luongo.
Canada. Not there anymore.
Right.
And, Jordan Binnington, I thought was really good, and he's not having such a great season, but you look behind him as far as young Canadian goalies. We talked about it a little bit, and I tried to make that prediction. I would have texted you if the Czechs had pulled it off. I felt like they were ripe, and Lucas Dostal stood on his head in that game.
Yeah.
He gave up 4, and they almost pulled it off, and I feel like that goaltending gap is just going to continue to grow. Jake Ottinger didn't get in a game. Jeremy Swayman played and didn't play that well.
Right.
Hellebuck's an older guy now at 34.
Yeah.
But there's guys coming up behind him that Canada doesn't have, and some of the other nations don't have, that I feel like there's a chance that U.S. could really, if not be dominant. They obviously don't have a McDavid. They don't have a Makar. But this isn't going to be a situation where Canada's be like, oh, we're going to get him back and we're going to easily take our crown back. I don't think that's going to happen.
Love to hear it, Arthur. Love to hear it. So, Jake, I believe you're going to go in the system as well.
Yes. So, shocker here. Kayshawn Aitchison named OHL Defenseman of the Month. That is the second straight month that's happened. I also believe the third time this year. He also set the franchise record for points by a defenseman for Barrie out there.
Nice.
So, he's just continuing to improve on this very successful year. So, last month, 10 games played, 4 goals, 13 assists, 17 points, and a +10. So, just had another monster month. He actually already matched his goal total from last year with 26. He did that in 16 less games than last year.
Back-to-back 26. I can't. It's
crazy.
I'm trying to think of any defenseman, no matter where they've been drafted in that level, that's had back-to-back years like that goal-wise.
Yeah, it's very impressive too, and he passed his point total too, which you'd probably assume with that amount of goals.
Yes.
But so he's got 63 points in 48 games already this year. So he's just having such a great year. And then of course last night, a little bit of extracurriculars, which we've heard a little bit of that tied in with his name.
Yes.
It could be,
Yes.
He's a physical guy. He doesn't take anything. So Liam Greentree, who was actually the piece who went over from the Kings to the Rangers system in the Panarin trade, sellied on an empty net goal. I think there were about 2 minutes left in the game.
Yeah,
Aitchison did not take kindly to that. Went right after him. I mean, he's probably in the wrong there.
I just want to give Kayshawn Aitchison credit for understanding his place in the Islander-Ranger rivalry,
Yes.
even before he gets here.
Right.
Yes.
Good for him.
You know
Absolutely.
what? Yeah, that's probably what was going through his head the whole time.
Right, of course. Ranger.
Yes.
Yeah.
He took note of Green Tree's number and he said, I got to get this guy. This is going to be big on long term.
So he does that, and it causes a giant brawl. So that happened last night too. But Aitchison's, a name that we've been talking a lot about this year. Mm-hmm. Obviously, when you get those 2 extra draft picks in the first round, you're going to be excited for those. And to have Aitchison producing at the level that he is in the OHL, we just hope that when his time comes to come over and play for the Islanders, if that does happen, that he could do what he's been doing down there.
Yeah, and I think that's the one kind of note that I'm looking at here, because I feel like when I was reading the scouting reports on Aitchison, that he would probably, when he comes up to the NHL, he's probably going to be less of an offensive player. But here we are hearing all of these phenomenal numbers coming out. And do you think maybe they spoke too soon and he's got a chance to have a little more two-way to him?
52 goals as a defenseman in a year and 3 quarters. He's got to have some offensive skill to him. That's more than Matthew Schaefer put up at that level. Obviously, the injuries had a huge factor.
Right.
But, I feel like everyone rightly gets excited. And I know Victor Eklund, there's been some talk that when he's done with his Swedish season, next season, he'll be playing in North America because he is eligible to play in the AHL. Aitchison is not next year at age 19. So that's a bit of a dilemma. Obviously Matthew Schaefer, there was no dilemma.
None.
He came here and he's leading the pack. I'd be interested to see how Aitchison, he's a really smart player. He's a guy who thrives on emotion. It's tough to get sent back after the seasons that he's had. I don't know that he'll be able to stick for more than the 9 games that most guys get before they have to burn a year of their entry level deal. So be interested to see where the Islanders sit when they get to training camp next year, how he's playing, how he is physically, when he's in the mix as a guy who's a little bit more physically mature. So I'm not raining on anybody's parade, but it is always interesting that second year after the draft, if you do have to go back and maybe he's kind of caught in between where he'd benefit from being in the AHL, being around physically bigger players, because he's really dominating at this OHL level.
Right, for sure. Well, Jake, is that it? Or you got anything else for us?
So I had a trivia question.
Hey, okay.
This is the first time this has happened. Our guest actually answered the question, but
all right.
We'll see. We'll play a little memory game here for you guys.
Okay.
So during Marty Biron's stint with the Islanders, which goalie did he split the most time with? So I could give you the options here. He answered it himself. Yes. Who wants to take a stab at it?
I mean, I did manage to look it up, so I'm gonna because I don't have strong memories of such a bad season, but I'll let Sean take this one.
Who he split the nets with?
Yeah.
That's what I opened with. I said he split the nets with Dwayne Rolls.
I know, yeah. It was tough.
Right.
It was tough. So,
hey, listen, man, you can't read the future.
No, you can't. So I ended that trivia question real quick. But
sorry, bud.
Yeah. I mean, the other options I had out there were Al Montoya, Kevin Poilin, and Evgeny Nabokov.
It's just great hearing those names again.
It is. It was fun writing that one. Just unfortunately, we did not get to whatever.
Big
next
Cubano.
time.
Yeah, he had a pretty good year with the Isles that one year. Yeah, for sure.
Did he have more than 1 year?
I think he had more than 1 year.
Rolison had then the next year, Rolison got traded to Tampa for pretty much nothing, and then went on a long run with them. Boy, those mid 2010s goalie rooms were
what an era.
Incredible, just incredible.
Yeah,
what a cast of characters.
It was something. Well, Jake, excellent as always. Thank you very much for taking us on another tour through the Snake Den.
Of course.
But that's going to do it. And now I'm going to tell you all about Isles Fix. That's right, Islanders Country. Get your daily fix of Isles news, highlights, and analysis by subscribing to Isles Fix, the Monday through Friday Islanders newsletter sent directly to your inbox. Sign up for free or become a paid subscriber for added benefits at islesfix.substack.com. And now we're going to take it to questions. Bruin.
Hey there, welcome back. We missed you too. Now kick up your feet and settle back in to hockey.
Just play it after.
It's okay.
Just play it now.
It's time for questions.
There it is.
So go ahead. Ask us.
I'm a little rusty, guys. I'm
Whose
a little
voice
rusty.
is that? Is that
Yes.
Jason Belsky?
Yes. Sorry to everyone in Hockey Night Land. Ed is off tonight.
Ed is off tonight. He couldn't make it, unfortunately. So, we got J-Bone behind the mic. Love it.
Replaced him with the hockey encyclopedia.
Yeah. You hear my voice? It's like that meme when you haven't spoken to anyone in 4 days. All right.
Outstanding, man. How we doing over there?
Well, the chat is pretty live tonight.
Love that.
Let's see what we got. We'll just fire right off.
Please, yeah.
Chris from Long Island says, do you think if Darsh packaged the Russian goalie Geisman and the first round pick, he could land a scoring winger?
Ooh.
Oh, that was excellent work.
Thank you.
I like it. Yeah, Dmitry Gazman, who's a kind of like a Sorokin, track mid-round pick.
Torchbearer.
Lighten it up in the KHL for, I believe, Dynamo Moscow. One of the best goalies in the KHL, much like Sorokin was. Signed for a couple more years, so that I think that
Much like Sorokin was.
Yeah, that is the holdup, that you're not getting immediate help from a team for a goalie who's probably 3 or 4 years away from coming over to North America. So I would imagine that if there is going to be a prospect, and I feel like I've said this a million times, look more to Cole Yzerman. Look more to Danny Nelson. Some combination of those guys. Not Keishon Aitchison.
No.
Not Victor Eklund. But whatever else they can dig up, plus Colorado's first, and then you kind of start with that package. Gamzin is an interesting one, but also Ilya Sorokin's 30 years old now. And if you've got a guy that's coming over in 4 years, I think you want to hold on to him.
I agree.
That'll be a nice, it'll be, dare I say, Rangers-esque, where you've got a franchise goalie, one of the best goalies in the league, and as he's aging out, you bring in your Russian prospect, and then you have a seamless transition. Let's have one of those on the island.
I like that, Arthur.
Okay.
I like that.
All right, next we got Jeremy Ford. Thoughts on last year's draft picks, almost a full season out?
I mean, Jake just told us. We love these guys. Victor Eklund, I don't know that his numbers are like off the charts in the Swedish league, but he is playing at the top level over there. I think he's been really good. Aitchison we just talked about, and Matthew Schaefer, he's been okay, right?
He's been pretty decent so
I think
far.
we're okay with that guy. So yeah, we give a thumbs up to all those three.
Yeah, I'm with you. I believe, actually, I think it was Chris before the show started noted in the chat that the Isles had, there was a new ranking that came out, the top 100 prospects. I don't know who did it, but apparently I think Eklund was like number 36. So despite whatever lack of numbers he has, he's being recognized for his play over there.
I think everybody understands that this is, we'd like to see him come over here and see what he can do. Because he's a bit undersized. We'll see if he, he's still only 18 or 19, so he could get bigger for sure. But he's a skill guy, and we'll see how that translates over here.
There you go.
All right. Walter asks, are any of Lou's draft picks safe from being moved?
I mean, I don't think they're all being moved, so I guess by
Get rid of them all.
default, right? Yeah, I mean, I think it's really just what Darsh and the staff think is eventually going to help them down the road, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any initiative to say these guys got to go.
Right. It's just a natural progression when you change GMs, and especially they haven't changed their scouting staff entirely yet. They may at some point, but it takes a little while. It's just different, different viewpoint, different set of eyes with Matthew Darsh and Ryan Bonus are kind of the two new guys in the front office. And I mentioned Cole Yzerman because he is a guy that has a particular skill set. The Islanders under Lou Lamoriello wanted that skill set here. Matthew Darsh may not want it. He may say this guy can get us something that we like more immediately now, an NHL ready, or a guy who's, Jordan Kyrou, Cole Perfetti, names go on. And it's just a matter of how they value him. And I don't think that he was untouchable before. But I feel like you just change administrations and they sort of change their views on things. Matthew Darsh isn't going to come out and say, man, I can't stand that Cole Yzerman. We really got to get rid of him.
Get these Lou guys out of here.
They could all still be here at training camp next year if he doesn't find a deal that he likes.
There you go.
All right. We got David asking, hopefully I don't slaughter this name.
I hope you do.
Well, it says not really a question, but does Zenon Konopka?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
All right. He was inducted into the Syracuse Hockey Hall of Fame last night. Does Arthur recollect any dealings with Zenon?
He is, I know the big Z is Dano Chara, and obviously an Islander at heart.
Yes.
But Konopka is the secondary big Z for me.
He's little Z.
Well, he's not little by any means, but I think there's a decent chance before the season's over we'll get Z on the show.
Hey,
he is a great talker. It was a great interview during his time on the Islanders.
He was,
and a guy with an incredibly specific skill set. There's nobody out there that can win 64% of their faceoffs and have 300 penalty minutes in the same season. That is unicorn territory for me.
Yes,
he could play a little bit too, and thinking back, and I'm sure, like I said, if we get him on the show, he can talk about the apartment that him and P.A. Parento shared. Poppy, the legendary bunny that was their pet.
That's right.
That they took care of back in the day. Z got into the wine business, I think, in Niagara Falls.
As one does.
From. He's actually now kind of gotten a good gig going as a face-off consultant with a couple of teams. He worked with the Caps, I think, in training camp. He's done some work with the Sharks, so good on him. And yeah, he, a guy who stayed in the league because he had these skills. He could fight. He was physical. He could win faceoffs.
Yeah,
kill penalties, and he made a pretty long career out of it too. So yeah, I love that guy. Yeah, I got all the time in the world for Konopka.
I hope that comes to fruition. And as I said to you off the air once, I would love to ask him about the Live is Life choice for the Islanders goal song. I hope we get that opportunity.
He has affected a lot of things in Islanders lore. He was not here
Yes!
for very long. It was 2 years, I think. But man, there's a lot of things that stayed on. Whether it was Fight Night, which we're now just past the 15th anniversary. The goal song, man, there's a lot that he has to answer for.
Yes, he does.
So hopefully we'll get him
on the show
to answer for it.
All right,
Thomas Boyle. Do you trust Rittich? If not, would the Flames' backup goalie be an option?
That's Devin Cooley, I believe. I can't believe you didn't know.
Glad
that,
you're here,
Jay.
Arthur, because
Thomas didn't know that either.
No, we're not. They're not getting another goalie in here. This is, Rittich, I think, has done enough to stay here. And again, you need him to get through these 7 back-to-backs in the last 22.
Yeah.
They're going to get to the playoffs. We're not going to see him after that. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
It's one of those. It's like talking about the backup quarterback in the NFL. If you're talking about the backup quarterback, you've already lost. So no offense to David Rittich, but if Ilya Sorokin is somehow not available for the playoffs, we're not looking at a good situation.
That's when trouble's brewing.
Exactly.
Jay?
All right. Do you think Darsh packaged? Oh wait, no, hold on. We ran that one already.
Good job on pronunciation for Darsh too. I didn't know if you would get that one.
It just proves he's listening every now and then.
I like
which is nice.
Oh,
Go ahead.
man.
Do you need us to eat up some more time here? Because I can ask Arthur a question.
I like how you're judging me on. It makes pushing all these buttons and speaking that much more.
There was some news.
I am sweating a little.
Oh,
bit.
there's news?
Yes.
What do you got, Jake?
So Drouin is day-to-day, and Duclair's coming back in.
Oh, the old day-to-day. Eh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that Islanders just tweeted that out. I checked before.
Okay. So is he going to I don't expect you to know this, but I guess he's going to slot
I
on that
assume
second line.
Did they change anything else?
I didn't see any line.
Yeah.
rushes? I would have, especially with Duclair coming back in, I would have bumped Heineman up to play with Horvat and Barzal again. I just don't know if Andre Palat's got it. And I think Emil Heineman could use that boost again. He nearly scored last night. He had a good wide open chance, and Jed Greaves kind of got the shaft of his stick on it. So he's a little bit snake bit, but yeah, Duclair coming back in, put him with Cal Ritchie. They had some good chemistry.
They did, yep.
Especially on that second power play unit. I don't know if I'd put Palat with them if you're not putting Heineman with them, but yeah, you need to get that top 6 going. And if it's a real injury, if it's an illness or whatever for Drouin, however he came out, I think it was a good opportunity for him to take a seat. No goals in 42 games, no points in 15. That's a lot. I mean, you saw Scott Mayfield.
Yeah.
Plinkoed one in last night.
Yes, he
42
did.
games, you got to be able to put one in if you're getting 17 minutes a night. That's just me.
Indeed. Jay, how we doing?
Now we're doing good. I mean, I think we're done with the questions. Chris in the chat wanted to let you know that the Hockey News did that top 100.
There we go.
Thank you, Chris.
Yes.
And that would be it, I think, for Questions Brewing.
All right.
All right. So I got one question for you,
Ooh,
Arthur.
okay.
Well, I mean, with the trade deadline, I want you to once again look at your crystal ball. Do you think A, the Islanders do anything? B, are they going big? And by big, I mean like the Kyrou level player, or maybe just depth.
I think they will do something.
Okay.
I think it obviously, if they do something, it's either one of those two things. I think they're going to add a forward.
Okay.
There's definitely some guys out there. You look at teams that are out of it, and I think Marty pointed out correctly, like the insiders are kind of throwing out that now, like, there may be this market may be oversaturated with sellers. And I'm like, 3 weeks ago, there were no sellers.
Right.
Everybody thought they were
Right.
in it. So I don't know. I don't know about that, but you look at, Vancouver, they have some guys with a lot of term, whether it's Jake DeBrusk, Connor Garland. I don't know if I'd go there just because these are guys that are not on successful teams. They're signed for a long time. I don't know if they're like legit scores that you need playing an up-tempo game. Elias Pettersson is rumored to be out there. That would be an interesting one for sure.
Sure, yeah.
I don't think you're trading Matthew Barzal for Elias Pettersson these days. I don't think you're getting him for Colorado's first and Cole Yzerman either. So that would be maybe a situation where they don't have enough assets to trade for Elias Pettersson, despite the fact he's had a couple of pretty lousy years. For Kyrou, I'm curious to see. I've seen recently Robert Thomas, who's more of a center for St. Louis. I think it was Elliot Friedman said decent chance he gets moved by Friday. If St. Louis finally decides to sell, after threatening to sell for several years,
right?
Then I think it's I think if we see Thomas move in the next couple of days, then I'd say okay, Jordan Kyrou is probably next because Kyrou has a no move, but I think he's made it known that he'd be willing to waive it to go somewhere else. I would take the shot on Kyrou. I've mentioned his name a ton because he's the one that makes the most sense to me. Guy who'd been a 35 goal scorer. Clearly needs a change of scenery as far as I'm concerned. He's been a healthy scratch. There's been some maybe disciplinary issues in St. Louis. I think that just screams change of scenery to me. It doesn't say that this is a guy you don't want on your team. And I think if you can get it done for Colorado's first, maybe another second-round pick in the future, Cole Yzerman, maybe a roster player. I don't know necessarily who that roster player would be.
Right.
But, 4 pieces to me is a pretty decent haul. Whether it's maybe one of their younger defensemen too. I'd be willing to do that because I think the one thing that screams, a void to me on this team is having a guy that can put the puck in the net. We saw it with their power play. Other than Matthew Schaefer's 5-on-3 goal, it just forwards aren't really dynamic enough, and I think you want one of those.
No, I said it to you, some weeks back where Kyrou's the guy I've been having my eye on. So if they can figure out a way to get him in, I'm all for it. And I don't really see the fit position-wise, but at least if they go after Thomas, we can hear a lot more Matchbox 20 in UBS Arena if they go for a guy like that. There you go, bud.
Nice.
All right, so that will do it for Questions Bruin, which means that will do it for Hockey Night New York. So, Jay, if you know the right button, hit it for the wrap, buddy. There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for tuning in here at Hockey Night in New York. I want to send a big thanks to Martin Biron for joining us. Great spot from him. And, of course, a big thanks to Razor, Kniff, and Launstein, attorneys at law, ready to fight for you. Nobody likes going to court, but if you have to, call 212-LAW-1500 for a free consultation. And, folks, if you haven't already, please rate, review, and subscribe to the show because that helps us and it makes us feel a lot better about ourselves. Arthur Staple, where can we find you?
Stape NHL on Twitter. I'm also on Blue Sky and Daily Faceoff, the Tri-State Hockey Podcast. Me, Mike Rupp, Johnny Lazarus. They rep the Devils and the Rangers. So after the trade deadline, that's going to be another Islanders-only podcast that I do. This one is the OG, but you can do both because they don't really.
You can do both. Yeah, great stuff. Sure. Can't get enough Arthur Staple, folks. All right, you can follow myself on Twitter and Blue Sky at Shawnee Hockey. You can follow the show on all social media platforms at Hockey Night NY. You can check out the website at hockeynightny.com. Jake the Snake Radonis, where can we find you?
You can find me on X at Jake Radonis, Radonis.
There you have it. So, folks, that will do it for us tonight. Islanders versus Panthers in about 13 minutes. We'll see you next week.